Well, Ryan LFC, I'm sorry you didn't get a chance to see him play at BMO, but as we've all expected and heard, Kemar "Taxi" Lawrence has been traded away to Toronto FC to the Minnesota United in exchange for the rights to center back Sean O'Hearn and $50,000 in allocation money in either 2022 or 2023, depending on Lawrence's performance. Kemar Lawrence joined Toronto FC early in the 2021 season to a lot of fanfare. He was a former MLS Best 11 defender, former Supporters Shield winning defender in Major League Soccer, and coming into a left back role where TFC was quite thin last year and still is admittedly this year, Lawrence was seen as a strong piece to add to the team and make them even more of what at the time we thought was an MLS Cup contender. Now, some bad coaching, some really bad injuries, and just some bad luck altogether meant that Toronto FC had a terrible season last year, and that led to a complete dismantling of the roster this season, and after just one season with Toronto FC, Kemar Lawrence has been shipped off. Now, out of all the guys that Toronto FC shipped off this season, Lawrence was one of the more interesting ones, as he got a treatment very similar to Josie Altidore, albeit a bit longer, where, you know, he was still on the team when training camp started, but he wasn't invited to training camp with the team, and essentially was told that he was not going to be returning to Toronto FC this season while still being under contract with them. That led to a couple months of TFC looking for a trade for him, and, you know, trying to trade a player when you've already said you don't want him, that's not really a good market for return, because everyone knows that you're actively trying to dump them and you don't really need much back to take them off their hands. And Lawrence just 100% fell victim to Bob Bradley came in, and he wants a very specific type of player. He wants a guy who buys into the mindset on the team at all times. And we saw guys like Marky Delgado were immediately thrown away, like guys who were very good for TFC. If they didn't fit Bob Bradley's perfect vision of what Toronto FC should be, immediately gone, and Kemar Lawrence is just one of those guys. Admittedly, last season for Toronto, Kemar Lawrence wasn't at his best, and I think part of that is on him, but part of it also is he was the guy who was playing in Europe for Anderlecht in the Belgian league. He had offers from other places in Europe to stay in Europe, but he came back to Major League Soccer because he saw Toronto FC as a contender and he wanted to win. And fair enough to him, I think in early 2021, a lot of us saw TFC as the contender, so I don't think there was anything wrong in that assessment. Now, as the season went on and as TFC's playoff hopes slowly dwindled away, Kemar Lawrence's effort on the field visibly dipped. And honestly, again, not really hard to blame him. He wanted to come to a contender. He signed up to be on a team pushing for an MLS Cup, not to be basically the veteran presence on a crappy team full of youngsters. Of course, with Bob Bradley coming in as the new manager, that mentality wasn't one that Bradley wanted to keep around in the dressing room, and thus Kemar Lawrence had to go. Now, for a guy who a year ago we spent, I think, $600,000 to $800,000 in allocation money for, the return is very little. Sean O'Hearn was a 2021 MLS Super Draft pick by Minnesota United, although he never signed for Minnesota United, so it's just his college rights, which expire at the end of the season, that are still tradable. Gets those traded to Toronto FC. He currently still plays for the New England Revolution 2 in USL League 1. O'Hearn is a 5'11" defender who made 62 appearances for Georgetown University in the Big Ten, including in his freshman year being named to the all-freshman team. So a defender with maybe some potential. We'll see how he does with New England 2 this season, or if TFC signs him and moves him to TFC 2 in MLS Next Pro. And then they get $50,000 in allocation money based off of performances in either this season or next season. So it'll be interesting to see if that actually does come, and if it does come, it's just more allocation money into the pool for TFC to spend this summer or next season. So overall, we get pretty much a roster spot dump as TFC moves Kemar Lawrence to Minnesota for very little in return and no active current players for the roster. More salary dumping to give TFC more salary space for this season, which, given that we're 3 games into the season and the first 3 games have been at most, it might be time to start using that salary money. Of course, Bob Bradley just said that reinforcements are definitely coming, but right now, likely nothing until the summer, which, yeah. Second half of the season, TFC is going to have their work cut out for them if they're going to make the playoffs at this rate. At least Caden Chun looks pretty good. So just like that, the last of the fullbacks are gone. The 4 fullbacks for TFC last season, all officially off the payroll. And we now have the new full-backless TFC. Best of luck to Kemar in Minnesota. Hopefully you find your form there. I have a feeling he will do quite well with Minnesota's system. And honestly, he'll probably be happier on a team that should be making the playoffs this year. So that is for this video. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of this trade. As always, if you'd like to hit like, if you want to see more of my stuff, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time.